I work at IBM, and I am in what's called the services realm. So you've got many different roles within a company. You've got marketing, engineering, product, you've got salespeople who sell the product. So after someone goes and sells a product to a customer, and in our case it's pretty much every company you can imagine worldwide has a bit of IBM product in them, the customers usually need help installing or how to use that product that they just bought. Maybe they just want to install it. Maybe they have an old version and they need to upgrade. Maybe they need to do some customizations to fit the business rules, or maybe they bought several different products and need to integrate for a solution. So that's where I come in. I manage a certain component of our products, and the components I manage all have to do with information management. So think of it as data movement, data storage, data transformation, and data analytics. Just to give you an example, so if you went to the Justin Bieber concert last week, that was here in town, and you bought a ticket. You bought the ticket either online or from the phone system, calling up Toyota Center. You probably entered your first name, last name, address, credit card number, email. It all goes into a system. Well, that system, whether it's the phone or the internet, goes into a central repository. In my world, that's called a database. So I've got data movement from online or phone to a database, and it's storage. Now let's say Justin Bieber's concert managers want to run reports, and they want to make those reports look at a standardized template. So they want things like, if you put 123 Main Street and spell it out S-T-R-E-E-T, they want it to be S-T. Or lane, L-E-N, drive, that's so forth. So what we can do is we can change it, either while it's coming or when it's at rest. So it's data changing, transformation. Now let's say you want to do analytics, right? You want to find out from all of Justin's concerts, every single city, every single concert he's had, what's the average age? Does it change as he gets older? That's a lot of data. It's going to take a lot of time. You want it to happen in hours, and you want to make sure it's accurate. What's the way to do it? Well, it's analytics. So we have software to do that. So anything that touches that information, that realm of products, I manage. So what do? So my responsibility is customer buys software. They need help with it. It's within the subset of products I manage. So my job is to make sure that they are successful and happy using those products. That does not mean I'm there every single day. In any given day, I manage 20 to 40 different projects. What that does mean, though, is I need to know what every single customer is doing with our product. Why'd they buy it? What do they want to use it for? What problems do they want to solve? I need to get the staff. A lot of it is internal. Sometimes I have to go out to subcontractors to get the right skills or resources to do whatever they need done. I need to make sure the terms of the contract are met. There's different things with accounting or maybe the way they want to, deliverables that have to be in line with what they want. And then I need to make sure that throughout the life of the cycle, I'm there in case any issues happen. It's technology. Sometimes products have issues with it. They need to have a defect, maybe they have a patch, maybe they just have an issue and it was communication and we need to reset expectations. Maybe they just need some training. So whatever their issues are, I'm their person they come to solve that and clear that roadblock so that they can be successful with our product and happy. So that's kind of what I do right now. How did I get here? Well, as you pointed out, I grew up right in Splendora down the road. I attended University of Texas at Austin. I had no clue what I wanted to do when I grew up. I knew I liked a couple areas. I liked English. I had a computer class. And keep in mind, this was back before the internet really started, so personal computers were just coming out. I had fun with those in a high school class I took. I liked biology. Hated math. I still hate math. So there was stuff I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm at UT, you're taking your basics, kind of freshman, sophomore classes going through. And one of my dorm mates who happened to be an international business major and was in the School of Business, asked me if I wanted to attend a seminar with her. So I probably didn't have anything else to do, so I said, sure, I'll go with you. So we go to this seminar, and the School of Business was having this program that was called Management Information Systems. And what it is they married computers with the aspects of business, which I thought was a genius because I knew I liked the social interaction. I like working with people. I didn't want to be a programmer sitting at my desk 8 hours a day just coded away. But this way I got to do both. I got new technology and I got all the people skills. So I said, okay, great, let's go do it. So I went to the counselor, went through the process, and got my degree in Management Information Systems. I was lucky enough to get a job right out of college in Austin, and that company is called CSC, Computer Sciences Corporation. It's called Continuum back when I started, but it's the same company. And my first job was mainframe support consultant. So keep in mind, right, this is the mid to late 90s. Everything pretty much that every company did ran on mainframes. They were fast, they were big, that's what was known back in the day. And our company for CSC, the department I was in, was financial, so it was banking and insurance. So the software we had was personal injury software. So if you get in an accident, what is that accident worth? And you get hurt. If you get an arm amputated, is it worth more in Texas versus California? Is it worth more if you're 8-year-old versus an 80-year-old? So that's what our software did, is to help out different insurance customers. When I was in school and younger, I never really thought much of a difference between male-dominated industries and women-dominated industries. It didn't even think to register across me. I'm sure my classes were probably more attended by males than females, but I never thought to look, and it never really made an impact because I had friends that were both men and women. So I didn't really understand what it was to be a woman in a male-dominated industry until about a year after college. So I was on about a 6-month project in Philadelphia working for a large insurance company with CSC. And we were there, been there maybe 3 weeks, had everything installed, was kind of walking through everybody how to use the software. We had to go through some research to put in the data, to put out the numbers and all that kind of stuff. And everybody in my area was men, and they were from this company. So one day my boss called me up, and she said she was going to be in town, and asked if I wouldn't mind if she kind of watches and observes. So sure. So she's there maybe 2 days, and we go to dinner, and she tells me she's had some complaints. It's like, okay, of course I'm humiliated, embarrassed, and all this, and I'm out with my boss. And she said it was all men, and they were uncomfortable because they didn't think I had the experience because I was too young, and they were uncomfortable with a female telling them how to do the technology. And a lot of it would help improve their jobs, but they were also scared of what they had to learn. So I was sitting there and kind of just, in shock, and my boss, who happened to be a woman, who happened to be a very independent, technology-savvy woman herself, was like, I can put your hair in a bun, we can do all kinds of things to make you look older, but I cannot change your gender. So she's like, you have your choice. Do you want to, I can put you on another project, or do you want to keep with this project? She's like, I've watched you for the last 2 days, you did nothing wrong. They're insecure, they're just worried. So I went home or went back to the hotel and thought about it. I was like, I did nothing wrong, so it wasn't hurting me. If they weren't getting anything out of it, it was just going to hurt them, so I decided to stay with the project and continue on. So that's really the first time it really came to me that there were some industries where men maybe didn't feel quite comfortable with women. I can honestly say I've had far and few between from that time until now. I've had a 21-year career, so I think it's pretty good, but it is out there. So if anybody's telling you that you can't do it, don't listen to them. There's no reason why women cannot get into technology or engineering or math or science or whatever. Just you have to do it. you're always going to hit some negativity, but that's how you grow and how you learn, and you take that experience from the next place. I've gone from being a consultant on mainframe to working as the lead architect, traveling overseas and teaching other cultures and men how to work the internet and how to make things faster and more improvement, how to get stability in their hardware and software systems. I've gone from different customers or companies. I'm now on my 4th company at IBM. Had 21 years, so I tend to stay at most of my companies for a lot of time. What I like most about my job right now is every day something's different, right? I've got 40 different projects going on. I'm exposed to new technologies every single day. I am not tied to any industry. I've got healthcare, I've got manufacturing, retail, finance, all of that's coming into my patch. I also get to work and understand more about my internal company. I'm talking to legal all the time for contracts. I'm working with engineering and support because there's some problem in our software that we need to fix, or there's some new customization that other customers could benefit that I need to work out. I also work with accounting because I have a customer that has their software installed at 2 different locations, and they get a bill and it's taxed at one place and not at another. Again, if my responsibility is to make them happy and successful, they're not too happy if they get a bill and it's overcharged what they want to do. So I would tell you, follow your passion. If you have an interest in any industry, no matter if it's in STEM or anything else, go for it. There's nothing to lose. You're going to learn a lot. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just kind of happened to go along with my friend to a seminar, and it turned out it was the best experience of my life to figure out what I wanted to do. And even in your job, you don't know what you're going to run into every single day. You can read the job description, see if you like it, but every day, hour to hour, you don't know what you're going to do until you're in there. So my charge for you is just what's stopping you. Go ahead and pursue it and see what happens. Thank you.
I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to share with you the career that I've chosen and the career that I have fallen in love with, and I could not imagine a more rewarding career. So I want to tell you a little bit about my family background and how I got into healthcare. So growing up, my grandfather, my father, 3 of my uncles, and 2 of my aunts are physicians. And then my grandmother's a nurse, my mother's a nurse. And so having that background and having that influence, that's what we talked about at the dinner table. And so I knew I didn't want to be a nurse, and I knew I didn't want to be a physician, but that's all I knew growing up. And so my parents sat down with me and they said, what's the next best thing? Be a hospital administrator. Focus on making a hospital a great place for physicians to practice and a great place for nurses to work. So I decided in 7th grade that I wanted to work in a hospital and be a hospital administrator, and I never changed from that moment. So I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Texas at Austin, and I have a bachelor's degree in finance from UT as well. I also have 2 master's degrees. I have my MBA, and I have my master's in healthcare administration from the University of Houston. And I was able to achieve both of my master's degrees within a short period of time while working full-time. So it is possible. It is possible. If you focus on your goal and what you want to do, it is possible for every single one of you in this room. So how did I get my foot in the door? So I had this education behind me, but I didn't have the experience that I needed to become a hospital administrator. But I knew that was my goal, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me from achieving that goal. So I sat down. I'm a native Houstonian. So I sat down and I started calling hospitals. And I started talking to the secretaries in the hospital administrative suites. And all I was asking was, can I get 15 minutes to meet with the hospital CEO? That's all I want, 15 minutes. So one of the hospital CEOs in the Houston area allowed me to meet with him for 15 minutes. And so I went and talked to him, and I said, I really want a career in healthcare administration. I know you probably can't pay me that much because I don't have the experience. Although I had the education on paper, I don't have the experience. So I'm open to anything. So he gave me the opportunity, working PRN in an HR department, making $9 an hour. And I said, I love it, I'll take it, when can I start? So you have to be humble when you want to progress your career, because everybody has to start somewhere, right? So from that point on, it opened so many doors for me. And then once I finished everything with my graduate program, I was able to go through an administrative residency at the Women's Hospital of Texas. So it was a 12-month program that taught me what it meant to be a hospital administrator. And then after that, I was accepted into the Chief Operating Officer program with HCA, which is the largest healthcare company in the United States. So I was promoted to an associate administrator, and then I was fortunate enough to go to Kingwood Medical Center as the associate administrator there, and was then promoted to the Chief Operating Officer position at Kingwood Medical Center in 2009. And you can't even apply for that position unless you have your education. You have to have a master's degree at a minimum to be considered for that type of position. So I'm still at Kingwood Medical Center. I'm proud to be there. And again, I've been the COO since 2009. So someone once gave me really good advice, and they told me, always know your core values. Take a piece of paper, write down your core values, and put it in your desk and refer to it often. Always remember who you are and how you're wired and what's important to you, and don't change from that. Because who you are outside of work is just as important as who you are when you drive to work in the morning. It's really important. So when we talk about females and we talk about the glass ceiling, I don't allow myself to recognize the glass ceiling. The glass ceiling doesn't exist for me. I'm a firm believer, if you work hard, then you can break through that glass ceiling. And always focus on the end goal. I always tell my team at work, all of us have a past, but all of us can change our future, and we're all responsible for our future, right? And your future starts today. The other thing that I always think about, and this is something that my parents used to tell me growing up, is who are you when no one's looking? So when you're not at church, when you're not in front of your boss, when you're not in front of other people, who are you? And what are those decisions that you make in those moments? Because those moments always matter. You know, the decisions that you make when your parents aren't in the room, or the decisions that you make when your boss is not in the room. All of those moments matter, and they help you be more successful when you make good decisions. Education is everything. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't received my education, and if I didn't focus on my education and work really hard to finish. I wouldn't be here today at all. I've been talking about work ethic. It's incredibly important. Don't be the first person to leave work at the end of the day. Don't be the last person to get to work in the morning. It's really important that you put in the hours, you put in the time, and that you're dedicated to your career. It means that you may have to make some tough decisions when it comes to family life balance, but you really need to focus on, again, what's your end goal and what do you want to achieve? And follow your passion. Know what makes you happy. Know what you enjoy. Because when you choose a career, you're going to have to work hard until you don't want to go to a job every day that doesn't make you happy and doesn't drive you to be more and more successful. And then know your strengths and weaknesses. Know who you are and know what you need to work on. And always be open to the feedback. I continue to learn and grow year after year. I know most everyone in the room who's established and successful would completely agree with me. So again, continue to focus on getting better and better and understanding what you need to work on. And then this is a sidebar, but the importance of saving money. It's really important for the young ladies in the room to put away money every week. Whatever you possibly can put away in a separate savings account, it's really important that you have that and that you're dependent on yourself and not another person. You know, if something happens that you're not expecting, it's really nice to have that cushion in your bank account that's your money, not anyone else's, in moments when you need it. Even if it's putting $50 away a week or $20 away a week, it all adds up and it's really important. So leadership competencies. This is what I look for in the team that I hire And this is what I look for in myself. So to give you a general sense, at the hospital we have 1,400 employees, and 700 of those employees report up to me. So I look for a team that's enthusiastic, that comes into work every day excited about what they do and excited about making a difference. When you work in healthcare, you don't make widgets, you take care of other people, right? So you have to always exude a sense of compassion for your patients, because many patients who come through our front door don't get to leave our back door, right? They don't make it in our hospital. And so it's really important that we know exactly why we're in the hospital and exactly why we do what we do, and it's for that patient and doing the best that we can for each one of our patients. Attitude, being on time. I cannot tell you the number of people that we have to terminate because of tardies and absenteeism. You gotta be at work on time every single day. Develop your confidence. As a female, it's really important that you can go in a room and you can be with other people and be confident. Be open to feedback. When your boss gives you opportunities to learn and grow, and your boss has a coaching conversation with you, make sure that you hear that and you accept it, and you really focus on being better year after year. And the first few times, it's really hard to hear, but someone is taking the time to help you be better so you can be more successful long term. It's really important that you accept that. Always have integrity, always have honesty. Be able to communicate effectively, always lead by example, right? If you ask your staff when they come in through the front door to pick up trash that they see in the parking lot, then you need to do the same. If you ask your staff to park in the employee parking lot, but you're not willing to do it, then that's not okay, and they're not going to follow your lead. Always have the ability to build trust. We, in our hospital, look for a team that can execute, drive results, and really get things done. Always willing to learn, talked about that a little bit earlier, and then always stay humble, regardless of where you are in your career. It's really important. So if you were to Google Chief Operating Officer or Vice President, this is what you would see. So I want to explain to you what this really means. What does it really mean to be a Chief Operating Officer? Because if you read this, it doesn't really tell the story. So this is an organizational chart for our hospital. So we have a Chief Executive Officer, and then below the Chief Executive Officer, we have myself, the Chief Operating Officer. We also have a Chief Nursing Officer, and then a Chief Financial Officer, and we're all responsible for various departments. And then if you look at my role in the areas that I'm responsible for, human resources, construction projects. So I have a hard hat in my office, and I manage all the construction projects, and there's nothing more gratifying than to go to a job site and walk the construction site and really feel a sense of respect from everyone else in the room, because you've done it so many times and you actually know what you're talking about. So 15 years ago, did I ever think that I would know anything about construction? Absolutely not, but I was humble enough to keep asking enough questions to be able to learn and grow. So I also oversee the operating rooms in the hospital, day surgery, the cardiac and neuro cath labs. We have an inpatient rehab nursing unit, plus I also oversee the therapy staff, so the physical therapists, OTs, speech pathologists, the laboratory department, all of imaging, so the employees that work in X-ray, CT, MRI, and then women's diagnostic services. So if you were to go and have a mammogram, respiratory pharmacy, and facilities management. So when I talk about those departments, all of those departments represent different career opportunities for every one of you. So I cannot tell you enough how many opportunities there are and how many wonderful careers there are in healthcare. And each one of you can achieve these careers. So nursing, it's amazing how well our nurses do financially after receiving a 2-year associate's degree. It's really a wonderful, wonderful job. But again, you need to have the compassion for that patient that's in that hospital bed. That's really what's most important about being a nurse. We have cath lab techs, all of the therapy disciplines. We have med techs, phlebotomists, and imaging. Of course, we have all of the imaging techs, emergency medicine techs, which is similar to a paramedic role, respiratory therapists. We have pharmacists and pharmacy techs. and then HR positions and information technology positions. So you have a little bit of everything within the healthcare field. And this just gives you a sense of community involvement, things that I'm involved with personally. I think the more successful that you are in life, the more important it is that you take time to give back to your community and to those individuals in need. So what does a day look like for me? A day in the life of a chief operating officer, a day in the life of a vice president. So many, many meetings, medical staff meetings, different project meetings, leadership meetings, checking emails. I probably receive 200 to 250 emails a day, and everyone who emails you expects a response. So if you're a person that doesn't like emails, it's probably not the right role for you. Handling patient and physician concerns. Anytime we have a concern brought to our office, it is my expectation that we resolve that immediately. So that's something that we deal with on a daily basis. We deal with a lot of different projects, and you'll see a little bit later when I talk through that. I round on patient care units every day. I round on actual patients. It's really important as a leader that I always connect to why I do the work that I do, right? It's not about sitting in an office and answering emails. It's about being out there and meeting patients and getting to know the patients and making sure that they have received good care while they're in our house, which is our hospital. And then I also spend a lot of time with the staff and with the medical staff as well. Talked about community events, time with interviews. I review patient surveys that we receive, and then I manage various expansion projects. So this gives you a sense of what do I have on my plate today, and what are some of the things that I've been working on. So it's across the board. There's so many things to be involved with, so many things to get excited about. There's not one day in my job where I can ever tell you that I ever get bored or I'm ever not challenged. So right now we're working on employee picnic, getting ready to open a new patient care unit, an 18-bed patient care unit. We're renovating a patient care unit. We're opening a relaxation room for staff, opening a new interventional radiology lab, expanding the pharmacy, expanding the mammography department. So this gets you a sense of what I do. And from a volume standpoint, if you look at Kingwood Medical Center as a whole, we're a 273 licensed bed facility. Last year, we admitted over 16,000 patients, and we had over 70,000 patients come to our emergency department. These are also some other projects that I was responsible for. So you can see we opened a pediatric ER, we opened an endoscopy center, a wound care center, and a freestanding ER. So I'm responsible for hiring that staff, hiring the leadership of those departments, as well as managing the construction to make sure we open things on time and on budget. And these are the departments that, the projects that I've been responsible for since we've opened back in, since 2007, and it represents $183 million in construction projects. So this gives you a sense of our last construction project, which was $82 million, and I was responsible for that. And that was the new South Tower, which focuses on women's services. So I want to leave you with this quote, focusing on finding something that you're passionate about. Every single one of you in this room can be successful if you put in the time, if you put in your focus on education. I promise you doors will open for you. And again, I couldn't imagine a more wonderful career than healthcare. And if any one of you wants to talk to me offline about different careers, I'm happy to work with you, and I'm happy to get you to talk with our HR department as well if you're interested. So, thank you.
So I'm going to make this interactive. Little audience participation. How many people like math and science? Raise your hand. Pretty good. How many people like problem solving? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people are creative and like to travel? Raise your hand. Now this is getting ready to get everybody. How many people want to make six figures? 2 hands. Yay. So if you had your hand up, then you might want to consider making your mark in a STEM field. So some other attributes of people who are successful in STEM careers: inquisitive. I'm extremely inquisitive. I ask lots of questions. We can just ask my husband over there. He's like, ixnay on the detail. I told you already. Why are you still drilling down? But inquisitive is one of those characteristics. Thinker, deep thinker, analytical. You like challenges? I love challenges. I'm the queen of you tell me no, and I'm going to turn it into a yes. So I'm reminded of a story when I was in elementary school. We used to have instrumental music. I don't know if you still have instrumental music. And you got to pick your song flute. And after you had a song flute, then you picked your instrument. And so what? I started off with the traditional female instrument of picking a violin. And you know, you hold it up like this, and I had a mark on the side of my neck, and it wasn't working. So then I chose the flute. Well, you have to blow on the flute just right, or you're gonna get dizzy. So after a bunch of times doing like this, I realized, no, that's not my instrument either. So then I chose clarinet. It was okay. Well, one day I went home and my stepfather brought out this box, and it had a beautiful instrument in it that I had never seen before. And it was an alto saxophone. At that time I had not seen one. And he had the nerve to say, I bet you can't play this, to the challenger person. I said, I bet you I can. So I took that horn and I played in jazz band, funk band, rock band, classical band, and each time I said, see, I can play this. So if you like challenges or any of those other descriptions describe you, you might think about a career in STEM and making your mark in it. So here's my story on how I was able to take my 2 degrees from Purdue University, one BS in Mechanical Engineering Technology and an MS in Industrial Technology, and turn them into a life of fervor, passion, and financial security. So here we go. Singapore, beautiful, opulent, one of the richest countries in the world. Malaysia, it's beautiful also. China, a lot of people live there. New Zealand, beautiful country. Taiwan, England, I love London, and the USA, of course. Those are all countries that I've had the opportunity to either work in or live in. So if you like to travel, if you like to meet new people and understand different cultures, you might want to consider making your mark in a STEM field. So here we go. Sales engineer, project engineer, professor, director of operations, director of controls, director of transmissions and structures, international trade compliance manager, filmmaker. Those are all titles that I've held. How does filmmaker fit? I know, it's kind of over there. But because I did this, I was able to add filmmaker in. So those are all titles that I've held in my career. But what's in the title? Not all titles are made the same. You can be a director of one company and manage 2 people, or you can be a director at another company and manage 1,000 people. So what I would say is don't get hung up necessarily on the title. Do a good job and the title will come. Align yourself with like-minded people and the title will come. And also find a mentor, because mentors they've already been where you're trying to go. So they can knock down some of the roadblocks and they can help you. I'm reminded of a story when I worked at a company called Mays Chemical in Indianapolis. It's a small company at the time, had about 60 employees making $60 million. By the time I left, it was 120 employees making $120 million. Anyway, the president walked into my office. I'd been there about 2 weeks. He said, "Hi, Cheryl, how are you? Welcome aboard." "Thank you." And I'm kind of nervous because the president's speaking to me. "Yes, nice to see you." He said, "So what shall we call you?" I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "I'm president. You can call yourself anything you want." So I realized then it wasn't the title that it was so important. It was my job in doing a good job that would make a difference, and the title will come. So think about that in your career. And then the last thing about different titles in jobs, many times women are offered a job And they go, I don't think that I have the background, I'm not gonna take it. And they offer that same job to a man who might have less qualification. He says, yes, I can do it, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna run with it. So if you feel you're qualified and they offer you that job, then take it. Okay, let's see. Companies now. We have Allison Transmissions, which was a division of General Motors, Mobil Oil, Purdue University, let's see, Mays Chemical, Subaru Isuzu, GTE, Rolls-Royce, Lockheed Martin Aeronautics, Pratt & Whitney, Singapore. Those are all corporations that I've had the chance to work, and Gurnell & Simpson LLC, that goes along with the filmmaking. Those are all corporations that I've had the opportunity to work for. Lockheed Martin Aeronautics is the #1 defense company in the world. When I worked there, I was the director of quality, and our division had 100,000 people, so reporting into me in quality was about 1,000 people. I also was over FOD, and I don't know if anyone is familiar with the acronym FOD. No? Well, what FOD is Foreign Object Debris / Damage. I don't know if you all remember the bird strike a couple of years ago when the plane went down because the birds were ingested. So that's FOD. Or when you're making it inside a facility, you need to make sure that the chips and the nuts and the bolts aren't ingested into the engine, because if they are ingested into the engine, you have a potential of the aircraft coming down. So that was one of the roles that I held there. When I was working at Rolls-Royce, I was director of quality and director of operations, and they are the #2 company as far as engines are concerned. I want you all to see me standing there with Vice President Joe Biden. He came over to speak in Singapore, and I had the opportunity to plan the visit. Hence, I got to work with Secret Service. That is so cool. And also up there, you can see some of the travel that we've done. Anyway, so you can see I have lived in many countries. I've held several titles, and I've worked in a lot of different corporations. So now let's go to 2009. Was doing very well. I was jockeying for that next position. Life is good. My daughter is a sophomore in high school. She's doing well athletically and academically. Matter of fact, she is playing basketball, and she's on the varsity team. And you know how they have music in between the games? So they're playing Beyonce, Put a Ring on It. I'm that parent going, put a ring on it, dancing and smiling, and she's going, no, Mom, that's not cool. You cannot dance. Please don't do that at the game. So, but she's doing well, I'm doing well. Then this young man over here, who we've been dating off and on for the last 10 years, has finally proposed to me. So I'm engaged, I'm happy, life is great. And then we find out 3 days before the wedding that I have breast cancer. And with that diagnosis, even though I was enjoying my job a lot, it kind of makes you reflect and go, is there something else I want to do? I mean, we all know we're going to expire at some point, but when you have a diagnosis, you think about it like, have I done everything else? What else do I want to do? At that same time, Lockheed Martin Aeronautics offered a buyout package, executive buyout package, to people that were at the director level or higher. So director, VP, et cetera, were able to take this package. And I thought about it and I said, yep, that has my name all over it, because I just don't know. And even though I like my career, there's some other things I want to do. So I took it, and what did I do? I went and learned how to salsa. I went and I started doing commercials. I took my horn up again, and I started playing in a rock band. Yes, I had the time of my life. And then my dear husband said, Cheryl, guess what? We're moving to Malaysia. And I said, who? Really? How many people here have been to Malaysia? Anybody? Exactly right, and neither had I. So we went over and we did a house honey trip, and at that time we thought it was going to be Malaysia / Singapore. It turned out it was actually Malaysia. So by then, my daughter was going into her senior year of high school. How many seniors want to change schools in your last year? Anybody? How many want to go around the world and change? None. So if we had done that with her, she'd still be talking about me at age 50, how I ruined her life. So consequently, I stayed back while Richard went on over to start his assignment. I stayed back to get her through her last year of high school and into college. By the way, she's getting ready to graduate college now, but into college. And for me to then decide, okay, I'm finished with treatment, she's through school, and what am I going to do there? Well, all that happened. Now going back on my degrees, because of my training and my work experience, I found it fairly easy to find a position in Singapore. So after my fun time of salsing and working commercials, etc., put my resume out, and I found a job with Pratt & Whitney in Singapore. And that job there, I was in charge of international trade compliance, which means that I am looking at all the rules and regulations for them shipping the engines from various countries. So the countries that I was responsible for, New Zealand, Taiwan, China, Malaysia, and Singapore. So a pretty hefty job, after having my time off. Anyway, while I was there, I decided, you know what, it is really pretty here, and I want to document this. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to document it, and I wanted to share the story. So I reached out to one of my childhood friends who is now a producer in LA, and how did I know that? Through Facebook. Nobody here looks at Facebook, right? Nobody, okay. So through Facebook, I saw she was making all these movies, etc., and I said, can you help me? I would like to document what's going on here. And through several hours, we came up with what we were going to do. So I decided I wanted to show the beauty of Malaysia and Singapore. I wanted to educate on breast health and to tell my journey. So we came up with the title, Sunshine, Noodles, and Me. Sunshine because you have a lot of sun in Malaysia, and because it provides vitamin D. We need vitamin D. Noodles, oh my gosh, we ate so many noodles while we were there. Noodles and rice, and noodles represents nutrients. And also noodles, they're bending, never twining, and our life is like that. And me, how it all comes together. So the title of it, Sunshine, Noodles, and Me, and it is a film that talks about overcoming adversity. You can get through anything with love, faith, and wellness. But I have to take you back to the beginning now. If I had not majored in those degrees and did not have that background, I wouldn't have been able to get the job in Singapore. I wouldn't have had the discretionary income to then make the documentary. So for me, majoring in those 2 degrees and that background has allowed me to make the documentary and thus make my mark.